Ready for a deep dive into something really cool. We're talking about a podcast. It's called CLI of My Dreams. And wow, get this, it's a wild ride from like IT support all the way to AI and even, get this, space exploration.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. What's wild is that the creator, let's call him Paradroid, uses his IT background, right? And that's the starting point for some seriously cool AI projects. I mean, he's
Right.
not just like fixing computers, but fixing the way we figure things out.
Hold on. So he's taking what he knows from the IT world, that hands-on experience, and he's basically showing AI how to think practically, like
Yeah.
how to approach problems like a person would.
You got it. He calls it the scratchpad methodology, basically using years of real-world experience, the kind of stuff you only learn by doing, to guide these AI systems.
So instead of just giving AI a bunch of data, you're giving it actual knowledge. That's brilliant. It's like saying, hey, AI, here's how to fix things. Learn the hard way so you don't have to.
That's it. And that's why Paradroid's IT experience is so valuable. This is a guy who spent years with these complicated systems, troubleshooting, finding creative solutions. Now he's showing AI how to do the same.
Okay, gotta ask, how does space exploration fit in?
Paradroid actually sees a connection between his AI work and, believe it or not, the challenges facing space exploration, especially when it comes to NASA's Artemis program.
Wait, are you serious? You're saying fixing computers has something to do with space travel? Mind-blowing.
I know, right? It sounds crazy, but it makes sense. The Artemis program depends on, well, on these really complex systems, analyzing data, solving problems on the fly. And that's where AI, especially AI guided by that scratchpad methodology, could really change things.
So it's not just building bigger rockets anymore, it's about being smarter in space.
Exactly. And that's where Paradroid gets really interesting. He sees AI not just as some tool, but like a partner in all this exploration, helping us solve problems we haven't even thought of yet. And his podcast, it's like his platform for exploring these ideas, connecting with other AI people.
That's so cool. It's more than just one guy with a microphone. It's a whole community, right? People collaborating and pushing the limits. But hang on, how did CLI of My Dreams go from tech support to, AI in space?
It's a trip. See, at first, Paradroid was sharing his IT knowledge, giving advice, troubleshooting tips, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like a lifeline for anyone staring at a blue screen, terrified. Those early episodes probably saved a lot of people from total tech meltdowns.
For sure. But you can see as he got into AI, the podcast changed too. He started playing around with AI tools. At first for simple things like transcribing his episodes, making notes, but then using it to brainstorm topics, even analyze what listeners were saying.
So the podcast became like his own AI playground, a place to test things out, bring his listeners along for the ride.
Right on. And that's really where that whole scratchpad methodology starts to form. He'd talk about it on the podcast, how he's using his own IT know-how to teach the AI.
It's like he's giving the AI a crash course in Real World 101, all in this digital format. He's not just throwing data at it. He's giving it the context, that intuition, and the ability to solve problems like we do. And that comes from experience, from actually doing the work.
You got it. And get this, he's super open about it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. He doesn't pretend it's perfect. He lets everyone see how AI development actually happens, messy and all.
It's like he's saying, listen, AI is powerful stuff, but it's not magic. It takes time, it takes work, and let's be honest, it takes a lot of trial and error.
Exactly. And because he's so open about it, CLI of My Dreams is really engaging. It makes AI less intimidating, even for people who aren't tech wizards.
Yeah, he's saying AI isn't just for some exclusive club. It's a tool anyone can use and learn from.
Okay, so we've got our tech-savvy podcaster messing around with AI, talking about space. But how does he create this whole community around what seems like a super niche thing? I know, right? It's a good question. But see, he was so open about his own journey, it made other people comfortable enough to do the same. So they started reaching out, sharing their experiences with AI, asking questions, giving feedback. It became a dialogue.
It's true what they say. Being vulnerable really does open the door for connection. Because he was willing to share his process, he accidentally created this awesome space for other people to join in.
That's it. And he didn't just create it, he kept it going,
Yeah.
set up places for people to talk, did Q&A sessions, even invited listeners to work on projects together.
He took his own problem-solving skills and used those to create a community. I love it.
And this was more than just a fan club. It was about having real, in-depth conversations, exploring this stuff. He'd throw out these really interesting questions that made people think about AI in totally new ways. It was great.
So we went from, fixing broken laptops to talking about the future of AI. Quite the journey. But honestly, I'm still stuck on this space connection. How did debugging computers lead to the Artemis program? Feels like we took a hard left somewhere.
This is where Paradroid sees things other people don't. He started seeing these parallels between problems in space exploration and how AI could solve them. Like when you're in space, these vast distances, it creates insane communication delays.
Right, like you can't call tech support from Mars when your rover starts acting up.
Exactly. So Paradroid started thinking, what if AI, trained with the scratchpad method, could fix things without needing us to call all the time? Systems that could think ahead and solve problems on their own.
Like sending a virtual IT genius to Mars,
Mm-hmm.
loaded up with the knowledge of, I don't know, 1,000 engineers. That would completely change space exploration.
Wouldn't it? And this is where things get crazy interesting. So
Mhm.
Paradroid, he stumbles on this thing, it's kind of mind-blowing, called smart connections in some AI platforms. It's like giving AI this power to connect the dots, in ways that we as humans, we often miss.
Okay, explain that like I'm 5. How can AI see these connections that we can't?
Okay, so imagine a detective at a crime scene, right? They're trained to pick up on clues, these patterns that most of us would totally miss. Smart connections, it's kind of like that, but for AI. It can go through tons of data and see links that seem random to us, but they actually, point to something new.
So instead of just solving problems we know about, it's finding those hidden problems or even opportunities that we never would have found on our own. It's incredible, but also kind of creepy.
Yeah, right. It's a game changer for sure. What Paradroid realized is that this smart connections thing, it wasn't just some cool trick. It could help create new ideas, new insights, even in things totally different from his IT world.
So instead of using AI to just fix things, he starts using it to think bigger. Like, what else is out there that we don't even know to look for?
Exactly. And it's not even just about getting answers, it's about asking better questions. This is where his whole scratch pad methodology comes in. He's not just throwing data at the AI, he's teaching it to think for itself, to be creative, to use what it knows to explore.
This is blowing my mind. He's making AI more human, like
Yeah.
in the way it learns, how it adapts. But let's go back to smart connections for a sec. Real world example. How's it work in practice?
Sure. Say you're trying to, I don't know, find new ways to create clean energy. You could feed all sorts of data into an AI with smart connections, research papers, climate data, you name it. And the AI, it could go through all that, find the patterns, the connections, and maybe suggest things that we'd never even think of.
It's like having a brainstorming partner who's read everything and can see the connections across different fields, like instantly, something we can't do.
Right, and this is where that community aspect comes back in. Paradroid, he doesn't keep this stuff to himself. He shares it, talks about it with his listeners, and gets them involved. It's like a global think tank powered by AI.
I love that. It's about using this tech to connect with each other, to learn from each other, and to actually work together. Okay, but let's get specific. You mentioned Notebook LM and Gemini Flash. What are those, and why are they so important for all of this?
So these are like the big leaves of AI platforms. Notebook LM, it helps developers write better code faster. It's like having an assistant that knows what you're trying to do before you do it.
Every programmer's dream, right?
Yes.
No more late nights hunting down bugs in your code. What about Gemini Flash?
Gemini Flash is all about language. It's
Yeah.
built to process and understand information the way we do, but with way more power. It can analyze complex stuff, figure out what it means, and even create things like stories, poems, or even, who knows, podcast scripts.
Wait, hold up. Are you telling me AI could write this podcast? I need to update my resume.
Maybe, maybe not. But it makes you think, right? About how we do creative work and how AI fits into all of that. And that's what Paradroid is exploring, those bigger questions.
That's what's so great about this whole thing. It's not just tech, it's about the future and how AI will change everything. We're just scratching the surface, really.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just computers. Remember Paradroid's whole space exploration thing? Well, his AI work has taken him even deeper into that world.
Okay, now you've got me on the edge of my seat. Let's talk about how this tech whiz is connecting AI to space travel.
So Paradroid, he's working away, and he starts to see how, a lot of the problems that space explorers deal with, they're kind of like the problems he's trying to solve with AI.
Okay, but give me a for instance. How do you go from like writing code to landing a rover on Mars? What's the connection?
Think about it, astronauts, right? They're up in space and it's intense. Crazy temperatures, radiation, not a lot of resources. All that stuff can really mess with their equipment.
And good luck calling a repair guy when you're a million miles from Earth.
Exactly. So Paradroid's thinking, what if we could train AI using that same scratchpad method to be like, autonomous troubleshooters. They could figure out what's wrong, fix it, even handle surprises, all without us having to, like, walk them through it from Earth.
It'd be like giving astronauts this AI teammate, right? Like
Mm.
an expert in everything, engineering, astrophysics, you name it. That's some serious sci-fi stuff.
Except it's not sci-fi anymore. It's becoming reality. And it's bigger than just fixing things. Paradroid thinks AI could help astronauts deal with, like, the mental part of space travel, too, especially on those super long missions.
Now, that's fascinating. We always hear about the technical challenges, but what about the human side? Being stuck in a tiny space for months, years even, that's got to be tough.
Right. So Paradroid, he's looking at how AI could provide companionship, maybe mental health support, even entertainment, tailored to each astronaut.
It's like using AI to make space feel a little less lonely. Really interesting.
Yeah, and it gets even wilder. This is where he starts talking about lost tidbits.
Like those random thoughts you have and then poof, they're gone.
Exactly those. Paradroid thinks those little thoughts, they could be brilliant. Solutions, ideas, totally new ways of seeing things. But we forget them. So he's trying to use AI to capture those lost tidbits, like creating a library of human ingenuity, all those fleeting moments of brilliance.
So instead of those ideas just disappearing, the AI could hold on to them, look for patterns, maybe even combine them into something totally new. It's like a creativity machine powered by all of us.
That's it. And it's not just about one person's idea, but everyone's all connected. Imagine an AI that can tap into the thoughts, the ideas of billions of people. It's mind-blowing.
It's almost like building a giant brain,
Yeah.
with AI as the central nervous system. It's exciting, but also, I don't know, kind of freaks me out a little.
For sure. It definitely makes you rethink what AI can really do. And get this, Paradroid thinks these lost tidbits, they could be vital for those long space missions we were talking about.
Wait, really? Okay, now I need to hear this. How so?
Think about a one-way trip to Mars. Every good idea, every solution, it's crucial, right? So Paradroid, he sees AI on these spacecraft, like collecting and guarding all those lost tidbits, analyzing them, connecting them, helping the astronauts survive and thrive in this totally new world.
Wow. This whole deep dive, it's been amazing. We started with fixing computers and somehow ended up talking about the far reaches of space, the human mind, AI. It's incredible how Paradroid connected all of these things.
It really is. It just goes to show curiosity. It's powerful.
Yeah.
And having a community to share these ideas, that's huge. Plus, it proves that even the most complicated technology, it can be used to make us smarter, more creative, more connected.
And for our listeners out there, I think the takeaway is this. Innovation, it can come from anywhere. What you learn doing one thing might be the key to solving a totally different problem. Don't be afraid to make those leaps.
Well said. Paradroid's story, it's proof that anyone can push boundaries, explore new things, make a difference. And hey, who knows? Maybe someone listening right now, they have that next big idea, that lost tidbit that could change everything.
So go out there, be curious, don't be afraid to explore the unknown, and never underestimate the power of a single idea. And hey, if you ever find yourself launching a podcast about AI and space exploration, let us know. We'd love to have you on the deep dive.